So just start with your short introducing yourself, please.
Into the camera?
No.
I'm Joey Zuber, so I'm a former diver, and then I moved into the show and entertainment business, and then I started competing in Red Bull cliff diving competitions, as well as various other high diving organising federations and various other competitions. And then I work for FINA, the Federation for Aquatic Sports, and high diving is included in that. And I also commentate for the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. The first thing that I noticed about Choi was this, the determination and the intensity of this willingness to his eye, this willingness to learn and to want to do something, and then that's the most appealing thing about Choi. And it's like, and you love to see someone who has that. They know what they want. You know, there's a lot of people in the world, and it's not a discredit to anybody, but Choi had this thing in his head. He goes, I like this, and he obviously had this idea from watching the World Championships in Gwangju in Korea, and it's amazing that image of high diving has implanted in his brain, and he knows what he wants to do, and that's wonderful to see that determination. He didn't come from that, an early traditional diving background. So I mean, he's learnt, from what I understand, a little bit later in life. But I have nothing but admiration and support to want to do this sport, because it's a very difficult sport. It's extremely scary, and he has the drive and the bravery to do this. So I love his attitude, if I can be really honest. I really like it.
That's really
Yeah, I mean, I think Choi's doing very well, and I think what we have to do is put everything into context. Now, this is day number 4.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah,
That's absolutely nothing. And to be able to already, dive off 15 meters, and hopefully today or tomorrow at least, he'll be diving from 20 meters. I mean, 20 meters. Let's put this into scale. That's twice the height of the Olympic high board at 10 meters.
Sure.
And it's easy for us to stand here and look at this 20-meter tower and say, okay, no problem, he can do it. But it's a whole nother situation, a whole nother feeling to stand on that 20-meter tower and then look down. It's incredibly tiny when you see the person in the water. It's very difficult. So coming back to the question, 4 days, I think he's made some really, really, really good progress. So, and I think, he will need more training camps, in the future to improve. But I would love to be able to see, a Korean be able to compete in the high diving scene. So with determination and time and training, many things can be accomplished. But to be able to dive from 20 meters, just within a week is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I think what he needs is like, I mean, there's no shortcut. There's no one answer. We can't say he needs this and he's going to be a high diver. I think it's the combination of everything. I think, back home in Korea, now that he knows some of the foundations of high diving, but I think it's really important he gets to train with an elite level coach as much as possible, to try and work on the general technique, the jumping technique, particularly off the platform, and general form and style. I think what he has already is a determination. That's the good thing. Yeah. But he just needs a little bit more work on technique, general diving technique, to get his control better. Physically, he's really strong. He's got a great build. So when we saw him, we said, okay, that's great. He's got good leg strength. Mitch was testing his, it was missing. And now it's a matter of working on the technique, and that'll take time, and we're talking about morning training, afternoon training, doing hundreds and thousands of repetitions in the dry land. So by doing things in the gymnastics hall, what you can do, for example, the takeoff, you can do 100 takeoffs in the dry land compared to maybe 30 out here, because you've got the time it takes to get in the water and then get back up on the platform. You don't get as many repetitions. So the takeoff and some of the technique, we can do a lot of work with him in the dry land. And I think if he does that in Korea, he'll definitely improve. And with that better body control, I think he needs to dive, definitely 5-6 days a week, but it's very important they have the right instructions and the right coaches to do that. So he'll improve with those sorts of things, but it takes time. I think that is a shame when there's this, and this happens around the world, that sometimes they have a little bit of, even for us, sometimes in the beginning with the sport, we had about, they're the high divers, they're like, they're not real divers, but they are. This will be in the Olympic sport soon. So yes, I think it's a shame, but I think with determination and also trying to arrange as many meetings as possible, and to show, to keep showing videos of what happened in Korea, show that we have Olympic divers now in high diving. You know, we have Alexei Prigorov, bronze medalist in 3-meter springboard synchro, Konstantin Popovich, an Olympian, Blake Aldridge, an Olympian, and you know, these are high-level divers now. So I think it's important that you know, the diving community, wherever it is, whether it's Korea, Japan, wherever, keeps an open mind about the sport, and it's important to encourage people who want to learn how to dive. So maybe that the elite level coaches can start to support with maybe training camps, you know, with elite coaches once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks, you know. But I would encourage everybody to take the sport on, especially with someone that has so much determination and so much passion. I think it's important to support them. Maybe they can't support them as much as the elite level divers, but whatever they can do would be very helpful for him. Yeah. Keep going forward, you know, keep the focus. You know, there will be days that are difficult, you will go through troubles, you know, but that's life, you know. Never, anything that you want or anything worthwhile will be a difficult pathway. It won't be easy, but I urge him to persevere through the good days, the bad days you'll have like this. But over the course of time, you know, if you reflect back on a year, he's going to be this much better than when he was here. Yeah. And then over a course of another, you know, 6 months. So day by day, it's hard to feel like sometimes you're making progress. But if you look at, you know, from day one, even from here until day 7, there's improvement. You know, day by day, sometimes you don't feel like it. You're getting there, but he will with determination. So be smart about it. Try and find a really good coach. Negotiate with people. Just keep persevering. Perseverance is the key. Don't give up. Okay. Push through the hard days. Some days will be difficult, but in the end, you'll feel satisfied with yourself. If you try your best, you'll always feel satisfied. If you don't try your best, you always feel like, I could have done more. That's my advice.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, mate. That's cool.
Please introduce yourself.
Okay, yeah. I'm Luke Fillion. I'm with diving. I coach in Canada. I've been involved in diving for the last 40 years.
40 years?
Yeah, I started to coach, I was very young, in late 70s.
Wow.
So I saw a lot of different style of diving. I saw the beginning of like high dive, where it became just from Acapulco diving off the cliff, till it finally became a real sport. Then over the year, with this installation being the first in the world, that's a permanent installation for training.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see the progression of the way it used to be when I was a kid, and how it is now, how it's a real sport, not just like a show, you know, or just to people not knowing what they're doing and just throwing themselves off a cliff kind of thing. So it's quite something to see. Well, I'm really impressed with him, because the diving is normally a very long process. People spend many years from like in Canada, they start diving as young as 5 or 6 years old, just like in China. Yeah. And we take years to master certain skill, body control, and the higher you dive, you get it's dealing with the fear. And it's impressive to see how he just doesn't care. Like, not that he doesn't care, he controlled his fear really well. And because he's capable of doing that, it makes it easier for him to progress. And it's quite impressive to see somebody from the day one to now, how fast he can pick up the skill and understand what he's doing. And most people will, you know, you could work 2 years. What he's done in a week, some people take almost 2 years to understand.
Wow.
And so it's quite impressive to see him. And I would give it that. What's fun to see is you look at his eyes and he wants it. He wants to be good. He wants to work. So and that's what you need the most. It's really him, his heart, that says, I want to do this, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to do it. So for that, it shows that he's dedicated, and he's working really hard. Some of it is, as funny as it is, sometimes is to keep it simple, not to overthink. A lot of mistake divers do is they think too much. And when you think while you're in the air too much, your body's ahead of you. It takes you longer to think above all the different positions than to actually do them. So diving is you want it more to be a reflex.
Yeah.
So you think before you go to the end. Once you're at the end, you just think of one thing, jump, and the rest should be a reflex. You should not think, I have to do this, I have to twist, I have to check, I have to do that. Once you start doing that, you fall behind, because your body's already ahead, and that's when you could fall in trouble. But if you can think about it before you go, and then it becomes a reflex, that's why we do a lot of repetition. The more repetition you do, the more it becomes normal.
And then more repetition, and then it will become like just natural.
Exactly. It has to be natural. It cannot be forced. You can't force yourself to be good. It has to come from within. So when you try to force it, you're falling behind. It's like driving a car. If you squeeze the steering wheel too hard, you're too stiff. You can't turn properly. But if you're loose, you can do more. You can do better. And it calms your heart. And if your heart's more calm, everything works better. Your brain works better, and everything goes. And the fact that he's capable of moving this fast without overcoming that is what I find impressive. That he's capable of staying calm when most people moving fast would get too nervous.
Yeah.
And the more nervous you are, the more stiff you are, the more mistake you make, and the harder it is.
So he may need something more.
It's going to come with time.
Repetition.
Yeah. So this is why we, like I said, before you dive, that's when you think. Think about what you have to do, and then just do it. Don't try to overthink it. And that's a typical mistake. Even the best diver in the world, when they go, they don't think. They go fast. If we have a diver in Canada, and it's impressive to watch her dive because as soon as they announce her name, she walks. She's right away going to do her dive. She doesn't stand. She's there. She's waiting for, come on, finish announcing my name. I need to go. I don't want to wait. And you tend to notice that diver that stands there for a long time make more mistake than the person that goes right away. And those are stuff that comes with time. But he's really good at controlling that he's able to do a lot. And sometimes he makes a mistake. You could see in his face because he's thinking too much. But the rest is, Yeah. The nice thing too is Mitch that's working with him. Mitch has been. I've known Mitch for the last 45 years, and he's seen everything, and the two of them works really well. And that's another thing that's important to progress is your relationship with your coach.
Yeah.
Not every coach is good for every diver. Not every diver is good for every coach. So we're lucky for him, the two of them connect really well, and that helps him progress faster, because the coach has to understand how the other person's brain works. Also, there's a connection. If you don't have the connection, you're not the right coach.
Yeah.
So it turned out perfectly that the two of them connect really well. He listens to him. I can see the eye contact, and you see him, and Mitch talks to him, and I can see him. They work really well together, and that helps. That's also a major reason why he's progressing that fast. It's a combination of everything.
Diving is the combination.
There's so many things involved. You have to be mentally good, physically good. You have to have proper technique, and the coach that works with you. And there's a way, and when everything is perfect together, then everything works fine. If one thing is off, then it takes longer to learn, more mistake can happen. So it turned out that this is a perfect combination, and everything is working really well together. Put it this way, I'm looking forward to see him going to a World Series of diving, and somebody goes, who's this Korean guy doing high dive? Because, hey, I remember when he first started, I saw his first dive. I was there at the beginning, and I saw the progression. So I'm kind of looking forward to see him, moving up and join the world tour and stuff like that, to say, hey, I was there when it first started. So it's kind of fun to be part of his story also, that I was there when he first started. See, I find I've been doing this for a long time, as I said before, and for me, diving is a big family. It doesn't matter which country you're part of it. We all been there. We all had to suffer, to sacrifice ourselves, to train. We all had, injury, and we all had fears and happiness, and we experienced all these things ourselves as ex-diver. That we're all friends because we all share a common experience in life. And like I said, it doesn't matter which country you are. For me, if you're a diver, you're family. Anybody that dives, it's a family thing. Like we're one big family. Yeah, it's not about one nation versus another nation. No, we're all one unit, one big family of divers, and that's why everybody cheers each other. Like you saw here, you have British, you have German, you got American, you have Canadian. We got Korean. So, we're in China, and we're all like one big family. We all get along. We all work for the same goal. Because at the end, that's what it is: to produce the best diver, to make him the best he can be. For the other guy, for him to be the best he can be. So it's not only about being the best; it's about me being the best I can be, or you be the best you can be, and that's what we all strive for.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks
Okay.
again. For
You're welcome.
This was really great story for me.
Okay, thank
Also,
you.
even for me, I learned
Okay.
a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
How about yourself? Yeah.
sure. My name is Mitch Keller, and I work for the FINA High-Diving Technical Committee, and I'm also the director of the Canadian Diving Program.
To high diving. Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's been a pleasure working with Choi.
Oh, really?
It's been a pleasure because the main ingredients when you're looking to coach somebody is their commitment and their perseverance and their desire to learn. We've been talking about Choi that he's kind of like a sponge. He's just absorbing the information and he's trying to assimilate that information to understand how it all goes together, and he's doing it very successfully. We're all really quite impressed with the rate that he is able to develop in these few short days. It's really quite remarkable. So he went off 24 meters today, which is a huge accomplishment. And it took a lot of self-discipline and self-control, but you can see that he's thinking about his diving, not only when he's in the pool, but when he leaves the pool and he comes back and he understands it a little bit better. So there's a long way to go in terms of learning all the fundamentals. And to me, that's the most important thing, is that he becomes very, very comfortable with with all the movements. They become reflex. We want it so that he doesn't have to think so much. We want it to be automatic. And, he puts in the work. And quite frankly, I think that he's got the makings of a high diver. He really wants to do it. He's willing to take direction. And he's very, very disciplined. So quite frankly, for a coach, it's everything you want in an athlete. One thing is, we're trying to get over the fact that he's quite rigid, he's quite tight in his movements, and I want to see more fluidity from him. And the fact, and the fact is that he doesn't have a lot of experience as a diver. And so, as I said, he's got a long way to go to learn all the fundamental movements and to understand how the dive flows together. And the difficult thing is that in high diving, you have to take it apart into pieces. And he starts to think ahead. He starts to get ahead of himself and starts to think about, instead of just the beginning, he starts thinking about what happens afterwards, and he starts to react to that. So this is a matter of just learning how to basically segment the dive into its components and do one thing at a time. But really learning the fluidity, learning the rhythm. With somebody who's had so little background in diving, it takes some time, and he's going to have to do a lot of drills. He's going to have to do a lot of work between these camps where everything starts to become so natural. Right now, it's very, it's mechanical right now, right? And he has to think through every single thing, which is a huge burden. But, still very impressive that he could go up to the 24 meters, stand there and make himself go and jump into the air and, take the risk. And so there's a bravery, but bravery is only kind of related to self-discipline. And he's very self-disciplined. So even in spite of the fear, it's not like he's not scared. He's very scared, but he's able to still go and do it. So to me, so to me that's really, really an important thing. And I think that what he does between the time of having the camps and things that he can work at home, and how sort of creative he can get about his practicing, and maybe stay in touch, send some videos. I'd love to see him get, first of all, a basic list of dives that he can go into a competition eventually. And hopefully we'll have some competitions for him that aren't all on 27 meter. Do some 20 meter dives and some 27. But he's capable of doing the 27 probably now on the 3-position reverse somersault.
Yeah.
But I want him to learn how it feels to go in the water and be very, very safe before we do that.
So,
It's impossible to predict because what happens is the first thing is to get all the fundamentals.
yeah.
And when the fundamentals are there and he starts to feel, all the timing and all the rhythm, then the development starts to happen very quickly, right? But so the beginning is quite slow and we have to take our time and make sure that everything is in place. And once that happens, you can learn dives very quickly. But right now, his biggest challenge is learning the Branny.
Yeah.
The Branny is the half twist at the end of the somersault so that he can start to add it to other skills. And we'll take some time to learn that. Once that becomes, very solid, then the other things can happen quite quickly. So, it's not easy to predict. I think he has to continue to do it if he loves doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then whatever height he reaches in it, there's nothing restricting him. He's very strong. He's got a great line. I think that he will, his coordination will develop.
Yeah.
And when that happens, he will transform into a different style of diver, and he's already getting there. So, it's going to take, really, really focusing on the simple parts.
Yeah.
And after that, we can start adding the complexity.
He's
The lack of resource.
and
Yeah.
then he's
Advice?
Advice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that there are people out there that are willing to support young people who have a strong passion
Yeah.
and a drive and want to do something at the level of excellence. And I think he is probably going to have to find some kind of support because I don't think he can achieve what he wants to achieve just staying in Korea because there's not the infrastructure, there's not the availability, facility. So, this is a great place,
Yeah.
but coming here, it's still, you need to have water safety where you have your lifeguards, you need to have your coaching. So for me, I think he's going to have to find a way to go somewhere else to train.
In Korea.
No, I think he's going to have to get out of Korea. I don't think that there's enough in Korea to allow him. He can still do a lot at this stage. It's okay. He can do a lot. But at some point, he's going to have to be able to travel and spend time somewhere else where there is more, there's more
Resources,
infrastructure.
infrastructure.
And then he's going to need some support for that. And I think, I don't think the Korean Federation is prepared to put the investment in that. I don't know the Korean Federation, but I think there's a lot to be proud of. When you have a high diver and they can represent the country and it's a very spectacular sport, I think that,
Now he's
If
the
he-
only one in Korea
yeah.
who
and
trying, just only even trying.
that's what I mean. He's breaking new ground.
Yeah, right.
And so I think that anything that you can do to sort of get his story out, then maybe there will be some people that say, yeah, I want to be proud of a Korean high diver and I can support. And then he could go and he doesn't even need to train high diving first. He needs to just train, regular diving skills that will support high diving
So indoor
and then
diving,
come to camp. So even if he comes to Canada for a while or he goes to USA or doesn't matter where, he can get in some really consistent, intense training with good direction.
Sure.
And work with some other people.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you, Choi. I think what you're doing is inspiring, and that's a big thing. And that's a big thing to be not only proud of, to feel a real sense of fulfillment and accomplishment and achievement. And you can inspire other people to pursue their dreams as well, just by keeping doing what you're doing. So congratulations, and we're really proud of what we've accomplished so far.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Really appreciate it.
Okay, yeah. And we'll see you tomorrow.